this is about the First Amendment and the infringement on the freedom of speech. When I lived in China for a few years as an English teacher, I tried to do some freelance journalism there, and the government told me that I needed to be approved. I needed to get credentialed to do any journalism at all. And I had Chinese journalist friends there while I was living there. And I remember this girl who told me one time when an American professor was visiting China, and I can't remember if she had to be escorted or the American professor had to be escorted during the time that the interview was taking place. And they were telling her what questions were allowed or they were filtered, and they needed to be approved, and the final story needed to be approved by the government. And this is something that seems to be happening right now in the U.S. About a week ago, the Pentagon released a 17 memo page with a mandatory pledge for journalists to abide to these rules for like pre-approval for reporting. And this is something that also has restricted movement, which is accompanied by an escort, not at all times, but whenever they deem necessary. And if they don't abide by this pledge and sign it, they risk losing their credentials and not having access to the government to be questioned or anything at all. And this is something that reminds me also a little bit about my time in college when I was majoring in journalism. And my professor, not only my professors, but also editors for newspapers that I worked for at the time, they would say things like, when you get a press release from an organization or an agency, you have to look behind the press release. You have to find the story behind the press release. You have to find that information you're not getting from them. That's journalism. That's what you do. And it appears that the MAGA administration wants to make the media companies and news organizations be their state media, just like China and North Korea or Russia, to verify and check everything that is written. And even if it's unclassified, because it says here, according to the Department of Defense war quotations, it says here, information must be approved for public release by an appropriate authorizing official before it is released, even if it's unclassified. Unclassified. So that sounds like China from my recollection. Is that what's going on now? And many MAGA and Trumpers must be applauding to it. Oh my God, so great! This fake news media, when they don't realize what's going on. And it's something that even editors of newspapers that I work for, they told us in the newsroom, they would say, hey, you need to find this story that's not being told. And if you don't find that story, you're not doing your job. And even one editor sarcastically said at one point, he said, if you bring me no other information that what's given to you by the organization or the agency, I might as well fire the whole news staff and I just print the news release in the newspaper. I don't need you, because that's what journalism is. You're supposed to find what they are not telling you, what they are hiding. And if you think about it, that's more or less what happened under Nixon. If Nixon had the power to censor the media, journalists Bob Woodward and Carl Bernstein would not have been able to publish the Watergate scandal and papers about it, everything that happened. It would have been censored, and it would have been by an authorized agent of the government what you can and cannot say. And some people may say what it was said here by a public relations person at the Pentagon. It said, to protect sensitive information as well as the protection of national security and the safety of all who work at the Pentagon. That sounds like lies, manipulation, to make you look like, oh, they're trying to do something for the good of the people. And the DUI talking head, Pete Hegseth of the Department of War, said in a tweet on X, the press is no longer allowed to roam the halls of a secure facility, wear a badge or follow the rules, or go home. The press does not run the Pentagon. The people do. No, the government is running the Pentagon. But they use these keywords to manipulate people. It's the government that is infringing on the freedom of the press right now, not the people. And if you don't see that, the person, especially those that wave the "don't tread on me" flag, you are becoming bootlickers by accepting what they tell you to do. Journalism cannot be spoiled or deterred or manipulated or become a public relations agency for the government. That's not going to work. And I'm just concerned because the Supreme Court has made several decisions that seem illegal so far, that are pro-Trump, pro-MAGA, and they seem highly illegal. Like saying that immigration can racial profile, or that Congress can have their funds taken away by the president even as they're being approved in a previous budget year. Or the president has presidential immunity from some crimes. We're not going to a safe place if this thing goes to court and the Supreme Court abides by Trump. This is against the Constitution and all for a dictatorship for Trump, the Lion King, the convict in chief, the traitor to the Constitution.